fall Saturday. It's a great day here in Atlanta. I was able to get in 4 miles with one of my run boos this morning. Grateful for that. This is Adrianne Hamilton Butler, and you are joining us. It's Onward, and you are listening on WCEG Talk Radio. You can join us live now on YouTube, X, Facebook, Insta, and LinkedIn. You can also check us out, or it's on WCEG Network, WCEG Talk Radio. You can subscribe now to our free YouTube channel at WCEG Network. And WCEG stands for the Worldwide Community Empowerment Group, where we speak life into the community. Last but not least, the topics of this show are those of the host and guests and not of WCEG. I'm glad to be with you all this morning, and I am glad to have with us Chajuana Wise-Hale. Hi, Chajuana.
Hello, Adrianne.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing?
I am good. And Chajuana, you're joining us from the Midwest. So what is the weather like out there?
It's kind of rainy today, but it's probably about 65, 70 degrees, which is unusual for this time of year, but I'm not complaining because I dread the cold and the snow and the ice, frost.
And it's coming your way. Definitely
coming our way.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you again for joining us. So, Chajuana, before we get started, I want to talk a little bit about what Onward is about. And Onward is about overcoming the unexpected, the uncertain, and often sometimes undesired things that happen in life that happen actually to all of us. And it's how we navigate it, get through it, overcome it, and frankly, come out a little bit stronger because of those things. And I wanted to talk with my guest today a little bit, partly because of the entrepreneurial journey that she's on with House of Danes, and she'll talk about that in a little bit. But also, and I didn't really disclose this even to our WCEG producer, but Chajuana and I are actually first cousins. My dad, Robert Hamilton, and her dad, Russell Wise, are brothers, or were brothers. And so that's a really cool connection for us.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so I'm really glad that you came on today.
I'm glad to be here.
So Chajuana, tell us a little bit, first, before we get into House of Danes, tell us a little bit about yourself and, the fact that you're mom, wife, you have a lot going on besides your business.
Yes, a lot is an understatement. Sometimes I don't know how I get through the day. But yes, I've been married, oh my gosh, is it 21 years? I think it's 21 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. 20-year-old daughter. Her name is China. She's currently a junior at Indiana University, Bloomington, majoring in social work and minoring in business administration. So she has a year left, and we're looking forward to her probably moving back home.
That is all. That's the hope, right? That they won't stay too far away.
I'm sure she will, because she doesn't like to pay bills already. So looking forward to that. Also, our oldest son, Cameron, he lives with us as well. He works for the United States Postal Service.
Nice.
And then we have Wynn. Wynn is our youngest. He'll be 13 next year. He's in 7th grade. He's an active swimmer, even though he claims he doesn't enjoy doing it, but he does it so well. So why stop, right?
Right.
So, but both of them are doing well in school. They're both honor roll students. Get that from their mother, of course. Because I myself went to IUPUI in Purdue and majored in chemistry, minored in Spanish. which reminds me, I forgot to mention to you the other day that I used to teach Spanish. I had a small business
Was.
teaching Spanish to the local community, and I did it for about a year or two. And then I was also working full time, and at the time, our daughter was a baby, so it was just a lot to try to maneuver. So I stopped doing that, but it was good. Wow, it was a good journey. And I'm also currently, other than House of Danes, I am a full-time clinical engineer as well. Been doing that for about 4.5 years now.
A lot going on, Chajuana.
But go, it's a lot. It's a lot. And trying to make time to stay in the gym and keep myself in shape and stay active. You know, like I said, I just wake up and I'm like, okay, what am I doing today? It's something different every day.
It's also you have to stay super organized and that you're very focused.
Oh, absolutely. I have to stay organized. Sorry for the noise. I have to stay organized. Otherwise I'd be like, okay, all over the place, just scatterbrained. So, and I still keep a written planner. Like I write everything down. Most people use their phones for things, but
Yes.
I tend to write everything down. I'm just old school. I just can't help it.
No, I get it. I get it. And that speaks to why you're able to do all of these things and run this new entrepreneurial venture, House of Danes. Tell us a little bit about House of Danes and how you got started. It's a really interesting business model.
Thank you, Adrianne. It's a kennel that we started in February. We actually had our first litter of Great Danes in December of last year, 2021, 2020, what is this, 2022?
Yeah.
And we had a good turnout. The puppies, very beautiful. There was a demand for them.
Yes.
And so we did very well with the sales for those puppies. So we decided to make it a business. That way we could write a lot of things off on our taxes and benefit from it that way, because everything, of course, is out of my pocket. I don't get any type of grants or funding, so everything's out of our pocket. So we decided to make it a business. And this way also, if our kids, particularly our daughter, if she decides that she wants to continue on when we, don't have the time for it anymore, or just don't basically have the time, because we're both working full time, my husband and I, then that's something that she could carry on when she graduates college if she chooses to do so. And I think that she will, because she's very passionate about dogs, just as I am.
Yes.
She comes home on the weekends. She says it's to see me, but I know it's to see the puppy.
Right.
Okay. Because that's where she spends all her time when they were in the house. Right now they're out in the kennel. But when they were in the house with us, she'd come in here and just play with them and just feed them and just spend all her time in here with them. So I'm hoping she'll carry on the tradition of the business. So that's in a nutshell how it started. And as you can see, I have a logo for the business, if you can see it.
Stand up just a little bit, because I want everybody to see that. I love your shirt. Yes,
Thank
House of Danes. And
Yes.
so the cool thing is I see all these people on social media. You have so many folks out there wearing your brand, repping your brand. And I know, okay, like I'm 57 years old. I probably shouldn't be saying it like that. But anyway, but I think it's really cool. How are you going about doing that?
The marketing, it's word of mouth. And of course, with social media, that's what helps me promote it. I get my shirts, like this type of t-shirt. I got this made locally here. A good friend of mine owns a store called Tops here on the east side of town. So he'll do the heat press onto the shirts for me. And then this wasn't even planned. That's the thing. The lady who designed the logo, she lives in the Ukraine. And
wow.
yeah. She designed the logo. She designed the logo, and can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, I should have somehow taken my phone on, put my phone on do not disturb. But anyway, she designed the logo, and she also designed the images from my webpage. She's
Okay.
really so she put the logo on a shirt, just showing me how it would look. And I posted it, and then people were like, I want to order a shirt. I'm like, okay, it's supposed to be a thing, it was just I needed my business. And so from then on, this was back in February, people would just call me or text me or inbox me and just ask me to make them a shirt of whatever color that they wanted, and I do it. And then, I mean, this is all over. It's in Illinois, it's in Georgia. I mean, it's different people from all over just contact me, and some people don't even know me, and they want to share. And then
that is very cool, and I do love the logo, by the way.
Thank you.
So one of the things I saw on your website, you talked about, is it big breeds or big dogs with big hearts?
Yes, big dogs with big hearts. Yes.
Yeah, and so why did you choose Great Danes over any other breed?
I have owned and raised several breeds. I mean, my dad, he used to breed Doberman Pinschers when we were younger. And so I've owned Doberman Pinschers throughout my life. I've owned mutts. I've owned pit bulls. I've owned German Shepherds, boxers, you name it. When we purchased our first Great Dane, Lord Forrest, he'd get mad if I didn't put the Lord on there. When we purchased him and brought him home around 7 weeks, we just instantly fell in love with his temperament, with his disposition, with how easy it was to train him. Potty training, actually, that really amazed me, because he came home and he was like 80% potty trained. I've never had a dog come home that early, and and it was that easy for me to train him. And just over a period of time, we just noticed how protective he become over us, how loyal he was, and how he would just have a willingness to want to learn and want to train and want to please us, and be around us, be a part of the family. I'm not going to say that my Dobermans weren't that, but Dobermans are a little bit more hyper.
Okay.
He's a little, he was a little bit calmer, and I don't know, it's just, I had never thought about owning one, and then he kind of fell in our lap. So we raised him, and then for a few months later or so, maybe about 8-10 months later or so, we decided to get another one, a female from a different breeder.
Okay.
Same disposition, same temperament, easy to train, almost potty trained at 8 weeks, So as they both got older, Storm, our female dog, she came in heat, and that means she's able to breed. So we just decided to let to see if it happens, and if we have puppies, we do, we don't, no big deal. And so it happened, and like I mentioned before, the puppies, they were so beautiful, and everybody wanted one. Like we had them sold before they were 3 weeks from people, like I said.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this couple drove 5 hours from Ohio. We had a guy interested, a guy who wanted one, but unfortunately that one didn't make it, from Georgia. So it's like we just, we had a high demand for them, and people were really interested. So we decided at that point to make it a business, and we ended up adding another fawn colored Great Dane to our kennel as well. So we own 2 females. The mother of the breed of the last 2 litters is Lady Storm. She's a Harlequin Great Dane. Lord Forrest is a
what is Harlequin Great Dane?
Brindle. It just means they have a white coat with spots, and the spots can be lilac, they can be black, they can be blue. So the most important thing to know about Harlequin is they have a white coat
Okay.
throughout their body. And the brindle, they have either a black coat with like fawn stripes going across their body. And then of course the fawn is like Marmaduke or Scooby-Doo. They're just
Okay. Oh, very
yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So
I heard you mention that, you've had a lot of different types of breeds, but you settled on Great Danes because of, how warm they were as a breed, how they seemed to be a part of the family, how patient they were. And it makes me think that as a breeder, you're very sensitive to the nature of dogs. And you would also have to be, I think, sensitive to the nature of people, because you want to make sure that you attach your dog to a loving family.
mhm.
So tell me a little bit about how you see yourself as someone who's able to bring families and dogs together. What sense do you get from people and from the dogs themselves that makes you say, you know what, this is a good connection?
Well, I do interview each of the potential owners. Everyone cannot own one of my puppies. If I have a conversation and something about this person makes me think that they're not a good fit for my dog, then I don't sell them. There has to be a connection. Of course, they can't meet the puppies until they've had their first set of vaccines at 6 weeks. But I will allow them to FaceTime me and see the puppies and get an idea of which one that they want. But I've got pretty good intuition too. It comes from my grandmother lived to be 96 in wisdom, and I think I got that from her.
Yeah.
But just and so far I've been successful. I stay in contact with the owners from the first litter. That's part of the agreement, is that at least for the first year, I need to know the animal's doing okay. And they've been doing that. I get pictures, I get videos, I get text messages, and I mean, surprisingly, I have no complaints. I mean, everyone seems to, they fall in love with the dog themselves. A couple of the owners from the first litter wanted to get one from this litter and have two, but they are at work. They're like kids.
Right.
They are at work. So if you don't have the time for it, it's best that you recognize that sooner than later. I don't want someone to get a dog from me and they can't handle it, because then I have to take it back. As a legitimate breeder and responsible breeder, it's my job to take the dog back. So I haven't had to do that. But yeah, being able to share my puppies with others. I know some of the owners want to turn their dogs into what should I say? The dogs that help people. Gosh, I can't think of it.
Oh, yes. I can't think of it either right now. It'll come to us. Right.
Yeah, it'll come to me. Where they help their owner either by walking or
kind of like a support. It's a support dog, but it's
emotional support dogs. They're going to be emotional support dogs. That's it. Sorry about that. I couldn't think of it.
No, that's okay.
So that's a remarkable feeling as well.
It is. And, in hearing you talk about them, I can even feel your attachment, kind of like being a mom. Even when you release them, it's like releasing your children. Mm-hmm. And I go back to, we had a conversation earlier this week, and you were talking about how you got some of this from your dad.
I did.
Talk a little bit about your dad and that relationship, and how that nurturing spirit from your dad lives on in you.
Yeah, well, my dad used to own a fish market along with his cousin. And I remember as a kid, I'd go sit at the fish market for hours, just to be there and just to be around them, and just the customers and the people, the loyals. I mean, loyal people, they would come every day. But just watching, just being there with him and just watching him run a business. And he also had properties and things like that. So I just have, some vivid memories of that. And again, he's the reason that I do have the love that I do for dogs, without a doubt. My mom, she'll tolerate the dogs, she's also a poet as well. She has her own
Right.
poem.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah,
that's right.
I have to put that out there, otherwise she'd be mad at me if I didn't. So both of them kind of combined, um, they have instilled that drive in me to want to do more, to kind of have a sense of ownership, of owning something that belongs to you.
Yes.
So yeah, I get that from both sides, which is wonderful. But yes, growing up, um, around animals that my dad bred, and then being around him and in the fish market, and just watching him how he run a business. One day I was hoping that he would have kept the business and I would have been able to still run it, because I do love seafood, I do love fish. But unfortunately it didn't happen. So yeah, so that's kind of the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Entrepreneurial spirit that your dad and your mom, because you're absolutely right. Your mom is a poet. She's done readings. She's published at least one book to my knowledge, but I probably more.
I think 3. I want to say 3.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so so that's a part of who you are.
Mhm.
But I also know part of who you are is you're very attached to your family, not just your husband and your children, but your broader family. And I think that that's the part of you that's very nurturing.
Mhm.
One of the things you talked about is getting that from your grandmother.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that nurturing spirit that also helps you as a breeder,
Mhm.
because I think that that's important to being successful in the line of business that you're in.
Yes. As you mentioned before, if a person has a love for animals, then they have even a greater love for people. Um, my grandmother, gosh, I could go on and on about her, but she was a very intricate figure in my life. She helped raise me with my mom, and actually, I spent a lot of my youth at her house because I went to school across the street from where she lived. So she gave my lunch money. It was $1, and back then that was a whole lot of money. $1 for lunch. Uh, and I walk across the street at Shortridge Junior High School and come home, and she fixed me my salmon croquettes and my hot water cornbread, or she fixed me oatmeal in the morning. It's like she just was always on point, making sure that we were taken care of. While my mother worked 2 jobs and went to school herself, to college. So yes, as we got older, of course, my grandmother, she was a lot older than me, and when she couldn't get around as much, I take her to appointments, go to her house, make sure she had groceries. I'm not a cooker, so I don't really cook, but I make sure she had food. And just be there to care for her, or just go over there and just sit and listen to her sing gospel songs, or just have conversations about my childhood or about her childhood. She was born in the early 1900s. She's seen things I'll never see. I'll hear about it or see about it in a book.
Right.
Pick cotton when she was a kid. Like, not too many people can say that their grandmother did that.
Right.
That's so nostalgic. So that's why I got a lot of my wisdom from her. It's just, and she was very, very Christian, believed in God, and always, spoke about the Bible, and, always do the right thing, make the right decisions, always praying for us and anointing her with oil, anointing us with oil. It's just like,
Right.
So, so yeah, when she got older, like I said, I would spend a lot of time over there with her, caring for her, making sure she had her food, medication, doctor's appointments, therapy appointments, and just spending time with her. Unfortunately, she passed away at 96, which she lived a very good life, and it was kind of unexpected. But that's a part of life. You have to just accept it and deal with it. but yes, and she knew that I had a love for animals. I'd bring them over to her apartment, big or small. She'd like, how many more dogs are you going to get? Every time I see you have a dog, she joke about it. But yes, I miss her dearly. But yeah, just and now that she is gone, yes, I have two kids and I've raised them and I cared for them, I've nurtured them, been a mom. But being able to care for an animal that doesn't expect anything in return is just, wants you to be there, wants to be with you. And like I said, with not expecting anything in return.
Yes.
And I'm still able to nurture and care for and provide for. I think, when she passed, I'm missing a part of that. And I'm able to pour that into my animals. And I think that it shows. I know that it shows when the puppies go home with their owners.
Yes.
I get so many texts and pictures of how happy that they are that they, purchased one of my puppies. And, it's just a really good feeling.
And so, I know we talked about how important your grandmother was to you and the nurturing that she gave you. But one of the things we also talked about, Chajuana, was this also came at a time when you had experienced other losses.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about this was important to you because you were experiencing loss, but at the same time, when you were doing this business, you were bringing life into the world.
Yes.
You talked about at that time, you lost your dad.
Mm-hmm.
And you also lost a cousin that was very dear to you as well.
Yes.
Talk about that moment in time when you were experiencing both loss, but realizing that you were able to give life and joy to other people.
Yes, that is true. I lost my father in 2021. It was on Mother's Day. Gosh, of all days. I went to go visit him in the hospital just to see how he was doing. So I thought, but come to find out he was near death. Had organ failure, liver and I believe kidney failure. So he was not responsive at the time. I went to go see him. I had talked to him probably a week prior to seeing him on Mother's Day. So again, I didn't expect to walk into the hospital to see that. My dad he wasn't active in my life all my life, but the past, I'll say 4 years, he's recovering from a drug addiction. So he was making his way back into our lives. So I'm thankful for the 4 years that he was able to do that. So yeah, we, it was there on Mother's Day, was planning on spending the day with my mother, but I ended up spending it there with my father to watch him transition, unfortunately. So that took a toll on me because, like I said, it wasn't expected. And you just don't really, you don't really expect your parents to pass. I don't know why I feel that way, but you just want them to always be here.
Yes.
You just expect them to be here. They're your
be
parents.
There, right?
They're not supposed to go anywhere, so dealing with that. And then, so helping me deal with that grief and that pain was my cousin, everybody, his name is Eric, but I call him Mush.
Everybody called him Mush. Yeah, since he's a little kid.
Yeah, most people call him, Muncie. I'm like, who calls him? It's not Muncie, it's Mush. But that's what I call him. So he that was his first, that was his uncle. So they had a relationship as well. And so we kind of leaned on each other to deal with my dad's death. Then tragically, 6 months later, I get a call that Mush passed away. And it's like, oh God, how do I handle this? This is big. This is huge. Okay, my grandmother, that's back in 2015 or 2014, 2015. So still healing from that.
Right.
She's still within me. But then to lose my dad and then a special cousin 6 months apart.
Right.
I spoke at both funerals. I had never spoken at a funeral before in my life. Spoke at both funerals. So that was tough. That was tough. And Mush would spend a lot of time with us at our house when we were younger. So he also had a passion for dogs as well. I think he had a couple of bullies, pit bulls. So yeah, when that happened, it took a toll on me. I think I'm pretty sure I went into a depression and just wasn't aware of it. Kind of isolated myself from people for a while, didn't really have interest to do much. And around that time is when I started to, spend more time with my dogs and invest more in,
Yeah.
and to kind of keep my mind off of death and focus on life.
Yeah.
So,
And so, the one thing about dogs, and you said this, that a lot of times, they give us love and really don't expect a whole lot in return. And relationships, human relationships, can be hard because there is something that you want to return. And I want to just talk a little bit about you and your dad and forgiveness, because you talked about how, the 4 years prior to him passing was when you two really had your relationship, right?
mhm.
What was it that allowed that relationship to happen? And I'm assuming, Chajuana, that there was some forgiveness on
Mhm.
your part in there.
Mhm. A lot of forgiveness, growth, maturity. Um, what would my grandmother want me to do? You know, she loved my dad, and he loved her. He came to her funeral. Um, and it's because he go through phases over a period of time. He's doing well, then he's not doing well, and then he's doing well. It's like, well, you stop. But what you have to realize is that, what I had to realize is that it was an addiction. It was a disease.
Right.
And sometimes you can't control a disease,
Yeah.
so, and in my mind, I'm like, I don't drink, I don't smoke. Why do you do that? Why do you do this? Why do you do that? But there's probably some things that I do that people would question, so like I say, it just comes with growth and a whole lot of forgiveness. And
Yes.
I did notice a change over those 4 years. I did notice a change in him. I noticed that he, was trying his best to do better. Unfortunately, during that time is when he did start to get sick. He started his habits started to catch up with him.
Right.
So,
Right.
but yeah, and you know, everything. I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason,
Exactly.
whether you agree with it or not. Of course, I wanted my parents to stay married happily ever after. I wanted a two-parent household. I look at other kids who had it, and I wish my parents would do that. But it wasn't meant to be. So all I can do is do what I can, and provide a better lifestyle for my kids.
And that's what you're doing. Your daughter, by the way, you didn't mention this, but your daughter is quite the accomplished dancer.
Yes, she is. She danced from 3 years old, and she actually entered college majoring in dance. But she had a change of heart. She still loves to dance. She'll always love to. I watch all her TikTok videos, and I'm like, gosh, I could just see her on somebody's stage just at it. But yeah, she does different genres from point to jazz to ballet to hip hop to contemporary to modern. She can do it all. You just give her the choreography and she'll deliver. She's very talented.
She
And
is. I've seen a lot of the videos that you've shared, and she's amazing, as well as just a beautiful young woman. And I know you're very proud of all your children.
yes.
I
Yeah.
want to mention before we go on that you're listening to Onward on WCEG Network. You can listen now on the YouTube channel, X, Facebook, Insta, and LinkedIn at WCEG Network. And I'm here with Chajuana Wise-Hale with House of Danes. We're talking about breeding dogs. We're talking about life. We're talking about overcoming things and moving onward, and the strength that we get, even when things happen in our lives that are unexpected, uncertain, or undesirable. And one of the things that I shared earlier is that Chajuana and I are first cousins. And one of the things I remember about your dad, I don't know if I ever shared this with you, but when we would visit Indianapolis, and I was just a little girl, so I don't even know how really I have these memories, but I do. Your dad would push me in the stroller, and he loved Burger Chef. I think Burger Chef was around then. And I remember that, and I always thought, he's so cool and he's so handsome. Yeah, I always thought your dad was just so warm, such a warm person.
Yes, he really was. He gave you the shirt off of his back. Very giving, you know. Yes, I do, sometimes wish, things would have been different, but they weren't. And I have to accept that. I know that he loved me. I know that he loved
Yes,
my brother,
yes,
loved my mother,
yes.
you know. I got a picture from his girlfriend after he passed. She gave me the picture. It was an 8x10 portrait of him and my mom and me when I was a baby. So he's had that picture.
Yes.
The 70s.
Yes.
And it's not wrinkled, it's not scratched, it's not even laminated, but it's a portrait. And I'm like, he kept this for all of these years.
Yes.
So, so I have it, and I put it, no, I'll take that back. It's in a frame. So, but yeah, so now it's in the room with my other portraits. So yeah.
That's awesome. So, my dad, of course, is the only one still living of all of his siblings. And so that means a lot, he had time with his brothers and sister.
Yeah, I remember when your dad would come in town too. He always had that camera. He had a
yes.
I think
That's
it was
the thing about Dad would always have the video camera. He loved to capture everything. He captured everything. And I was trying to find, there was a picture that and I don't know where it is, but it was of the brothers, the four of them. And it was an amazing picture, just these amazing, handsome men. And I can't find it. But yeah, I think that's one of the few pictures of them together.
Wow.
Yeah. But here's the amazing thing, Chajuana, is that, we've talked about your dad, but I want to talk a little bit about you and your mom. Because we started off talking about how this is a lot, having your own business. You're working a full-time job. You still have a young one at home. You're married. And, you've been through a lot in your life. And it takes a lot of strength to be able to do this, especially when you're dealing with animals, right? Because you got to be patient and loving. There's a lot of detail involved. Talk about your mom and what you gained from her, because you mentioned that your mom got her degree later in life.
She did. My mom. Wow. Single parent of 2 kids, myself and my brother. Gosh, again, I don't even know where to start. She's my everything. She's my inspiration. She's my mentor. She's my life coach. It's like she's the mom. She's that mom, and doesn't judge. I've made so many mistakes in life. I can talk to her openly about anything, and she'll just say, well, we'll pray about it. It's just as simple as that. We'll pray about it. I'm like, Mom, did you hear what I just said? I just told you I just did. It's okay. It's okay. So she's a very loving, caring, very protective mother. She wants nothing but the best for us. And it also shows with the grandkids. Just yesterday
Right.
she called Win, my son, and she's like, they call her Riri. It's Riri, how are you? And of course he's playing his video game. Doesn't really want but she makes sure that she, calls and lets them know, hey, I'm still here. I'm still thinking about you. I love you, but she's that, because without her, I don't know where I'd be. She could have given up. She could have said, okay, I don't want to be a single parent. I can't raise these kids.
Exactly.
She could have given up, and she didn't.
Right.
She stuck in there. She didn't want help. She worked 1, 2. I know for sure she worked 2 jobs because she worked at UPS on the weekends. So we would go with her and sit in the lobby from 8 to 12.
Yes.
And then, she worked on her degree. She couldn't go full time, so it took her a little bit longer to get it, but she got it. Then she got her master's as well later in life.
That is amazing.
Yes.
Amazing.
So, gosh, she's just a big inspiration to me that whatever you want to do in life, no matter what the obstacles, no matter what the circumstances, you can do it.
And it shows because, you talked about when the deaths happened, how you felt that kind of depression come on. But it didn't stick with you. That you were able to move forward, and probably some of that ability to move forward came from your mom.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Again, my grandmother was my grandmother, but that was her mother.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying? So,
yes.
And she still has her moments because my grandmother passed away Christmas Eve of that year. So that makes holidays rough for us.
Wow. Okay.
Her birthday was in December and she passed away in December.
Right.
So I know that in December, I have to spend more time with my mother. I have to be more here for her.
Yes.
And I have to remind her that I'm still here. We're still here for each other.
Yes.
And we have our moments where we still cry. We always talk about our grandmother. And we also lost her sister, my Aunt Jessie, to breast cancer.
Yes.
A year before my grandmother passed away. So it was a lot. So losing her sister and her mother a year apart. But she handles it well. She's a very, very strong woman, very strong.
She is, and I haven't seen your mom in a long time, but I remember your mom as well. And I actually remember your Aunt Jessie for an interesting reason. We lived in Indianapolis for a little bit of time. I think I was in the 6th grade. And your Aunt Jessie would make this cake. It was a lemon cake, and it had this little crust on it that was like really like kind of sweet and sour. And I love that cake. That is like one of my favorite cakes to this day.
Oh, wow.
To this day. And I only found one other person who could make it like her. And that is what I remember about your aunt. It's the strangest thing, but I remember that cake.
She loved to bake. Yeah, she loved to bake.
It was amazing. It was amazing. But so this show, and it's kind of interesting. So just so you know, we're already at 10:45.
Oh, wow.
Right. And you were saying to me, like, am I the only person on this show?
Right.
I told you it was going to go it goes really fast. But one of the things I want to talk about that I think is important, Chajuana, is Onward. The reason that I do this show is because all of us, no matter how we look, no matter how we live, all of us have gone through something or are going through something or will go through something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for a lot of us, especially as women, and I'm going to say this, especially as women of color, a lot of times we feel alone. We don't know how we're going to make it through. We don't know where to turn. But when I do this show and I see women like you, I see strength, right? And so one of the things that I want to talk about is, as you look at your own daughter, what are some of the lessons that you're hoping that your life, that your mom's life, what are the lessons that you're hoping can pass on to her?
Learn to forgive. Life is
Mm,
fragile. Love while you can. Give me my flowers while I'm here to smell them. You know, give me my card while I'm here to read them.
yes.
You know, take pictures of me while I'm here to see them. You know, appreciate life. Don't hold grudges.
Mm, yes. Yes. Yeah.
Don't
Yes.
give up on your dreams. And don't let
Oh,
anybody tell you that you can't accomplish something that they probably can't. You know, be the bigger person.
yes.
And I have to tell myself that because, gosh, I've learned so much. I was quick to mouth off and retaliate and just, but now it's just like you sit and think, is it really worth it? And I always tell my kids, everything you do, every action that you make, there's a consequence. Okay. It can be a good consequence or it can be a bad consequence. And that's something to really think about before you do anything. Think about the consequences. You know, my daughter will be 21 next year. So she's already legally grown. So I can't tell her what to do. But she
Right.
calls me a lot. She calls me a lot just for, it'll be like, she'll call for something like, okay, how do I reset my fire alarm or smoke detector? Or, where should I go change my tire? It can be anything.
Right.
And it's like, it's okay. I want her to call me. I want her.
Yes.
When I was her age, my mother, she was busy working and trying to take care of us. I had to figure a lot out for myself. And I get that I get the hustle from my daddy. I get that. I got to figure this out.
Right.
What do I do? How do I make some money here and move this over here? Or how do I fix this? I'm hands-on. I don't like to ask anybody for anything. So I'm always trying to figure out how to do something. My kids, like a lot of kids in this generation growing up, they depend on their parents for everything. And everything's handed to them. They don't have to work as hard as we had to work.
Right.
But yeah, those are the things I would have to say to them. Advice I would give to them.
I love that. And I especially love the whole, really learning to forgive. And it's not just other people, it's learning to forgive ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because the older you get, the more you acknowledge that just as things have been done to us, we've done things to others, and we need to move on, but be willing to acknowledge it, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And move on, because that's freeing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. What is your website so that people can go on and learn more about you and House of Danes?
Absolutely. It is houseofdanesllc.com. And again, we're in Indianapolis, Indiana, Midwest. Currently have 2 puppies still available, actually, that need homes, 2 Black female puppies. They're not on the website, but I have pictures I can send. I'm also on social media, and I have a private page, which is my name, Chajuana Wise-Hale.
Okay.
Then I also have a page for the House of Danes as well.
Okay.
Instagram and Facebook.
Great. And so you have 2 puppies available right now. And so people can contact you if they're interested. Do you foresee continuing on and having additional puppies anytime soon?
It'll be in the summer.
Okay, great.
I didn't mention this, but another reason why we breed is to pay for our daughter's college.
Okay,
Funds go towards her college tuition.
great.
So yeah, we plan on doing this at least until she graduates. And
Excellent.
year next year. And I'm hoping that she will, do the business with us or possibly take,
Yes.
because my old age, I don't know how long I'm gonna be able to. It's a lot of
You're
work.
not, you are not old. You're not old.
It's a lot of work, you know,
It is,
so.
but you're great. You're great at it, and it takes a special person, and you can tell that you really have the heart for it, you
Mhm.
know. And it's great that you're even breeding dogs that people want to consider for emotional support animals, because I think that's so important.
Yes,
Okay?
it is. It's
Yeah.
very important.
And
Um,
oh, go ahead, Chajuana.
I was just going to mention that on my website, you'll also see apparel that,
Yes. Yes.
and
Let's talk about that.
yeah, and I even have these are packaged, these are custom, um, sweatsuits, sweatpants, sets. I have gray, black, and chestnut brown.
Love it.
You can't purchase them on my website just yet. I haven't got all that together, but I have also email houseofdames@att.net.
Okay.
Be contacted on there as well. So yeah, I have merchandise. I've got baseball caps. Um, I've got the sweatsuits. I can get custom t-shirts, yeah, it's just,
I love it. And I'll share that too. And hopefully we can, yeah, get that out there so that more people can, and I need to place my own order. So
that's true.
yeah, she's like, that's true.
Camille, she brought, her and her husband brought shirts and they wore it to, I think they went on a cruise, I want to say. But they live in Texas now, but yeah,
Yes,
I'm with her and I went there this summer. So
I love it. That's awesome. And I love that it's family supporting each other. I think that's
yeah,
great. Yeah, so definitely gonna get my order in. Shawana, I want to thank you again for joining me. And it's just great because we are family, and I think it is important that family support family, but I also think it's important for women to support women, to let each other know that you're out there doing a good job, that you're working hard. We need to encourage each other. Ugh, I'm getting tongue-tied. Encourage each other more. I think that's important. And as time is winding down, I want to also honor the life of an amazing woman who passed away just a week ago. Her name is Gwen Green. And Gwen was an amazing woman. She was a former media specialist in DeKalb County, a mother of 3, a grandmother of 2, a very active member of AKA sorority, and a woman of words. As you said, your mom is a woman of words. She's a poet, and so is Gwen. Gwen was a woman who spoke truth. She spoke words of encouragement, and she spoke beautiful poetic words. And I want to read one of her poems. She too was a published poet and did a lot of readings throughout the city of Atlanta. I read this in honor of Gwen Green, born September 27th, 1952, and died on October 22nd, 2023. The poem is Beware. Beware of women who tell their age, who accept and embrace gray hair and white as survival medals, strands of courage. Beware of women who kiss and tell regularly, who look you eye to eye, stand toe to toe. These are women who sometimes choose to walk away, not just scream silently and stay, who find another's arms in hopes of finding true understanding or complete acceptance, but they rarely do. Because insincere words don't satisfy, and truly these women can never be just another conquest. They are just too free. No one but Jesus can convince them willingly to be otherwise. These women sometimes bear children, realizing that rearing them to be strong, productive, sane, polite is a revolutionary act and a priceless life contribution. They give more love than they often can get back. but somehow they choose to love anyway. They make it known that they can learn to be unafraid, fearless as needed. Beware, beware of women who tell their truth. Chajuana, I thank you again. And before we leave, I want to ask you one thing. What is it that you've learned or that you've taken away from owning House of Danes and releasing your babies to the world, to others? What is something that you've learned from that?
Life is precious. I watch these puppies be born, and it's an amazing, beautiful thing. And to be able to produce these puppies and provide them homes, where they can love back. They can love a family, and a family can love them, and they can grow together. Some of them they've got babies they want the dog to grow up with, just like I grew up with my Dobermans. And they, I learned that, protect each other. I protect my dog as my puppy, and then they protect me when I get older. So it's just, it's just life. Love and life.
It. So much that we can learn from each other, and so much that we can learn from animals as well.
Yes.
Thank you, Chajuana. And I'm signing off. This again is Adrianne Hamilton Butler, the host of Onward. This is WCEG Network. Have a great Saturday. And as always,